In August 2025, after holding through more than a decade of extreme volatility, I finally sold my Bitcoin. It's been the hardest financial decision I've ever had to make, and I still wonder if it was the smartest decision, but I do have a plan for it, and at the end of the day I am happy about the decision. My name is Siri. I'm a 43-year-old nurse living and working in Norway. I have a journalism degree and I've also studied finance for 2 years. I've been investing in the stock market for the last 6 years, and I've been trying to apply all the skills and knowledge that I've learned throughout the years to gain financial independence and to grow my wealth so that I can be able to decide when I work and how much I work. Back in 2014, a friend of mine came and told me about something called Bitcoin. At that time I wasn't investing, I didn't know anything about investing. I did buy lottery tickets now and then, and that kind of tells you the level of financial knowledge I had at that time. But my friend was quite convincing. He told me about how Bitcoin was a digital currency, and that it was a hedge against the kind of inflation and banking crisis that we saw in the market crash of 2008. The price at that time was so low that I thought, why not? I'm willing to lose that money if this investment doesn't bear any fruits. So I decided to invest. So I've been following the Bitcoin market since 2014, and gradually I've been learning more about the market and more about Bitcoin and the technology behind it. I'm not an expert, but I have followed all the peaks and crashes for more than a decade, and it has been the most volatile financial asset I've ever owned, and it's a strange feeling to not own it anymore. But there are many reasons why I sold my Bitcoin. The first reason being that I wanted to upgrade my nursing skills and study to become an ICU nurse so that I also could increase my income, and usually to be able to finance a master's degree in ICU nursing here in Norway. It requires that we sign a 2-year binding contract with a specific ward. That means the ward will pay our education, and in return we have to work for the ward for 2 years, and we also have to work a few mandatory shifts during our education period. I wanted the freedom to not have to work during my education and not bind myself to a specific ward afterwards, and to be able to do that, the earnings from my Bitcoin investment would help me do that. So that was one of the reasons I considered selling my Bitcoin position. Another reason was that it actually coincided pretty well with the post-halving peak. I had been analyzing previous post-halvings, and I saw what I thought was a pattern of the price reaching a peak approximately 1 year after the halving event. At that time, fall last year in 2025, that actually was a year after the halving, which meant, looking at previous cycles, it would reach a peak around that time. And I was going to start studying that fall, so it was actually a pretty good time in that sense. Another reason is that I am a big fan of Warren Buffett, and I follow his investing strategies, and he has a famous saying which goes, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. And I was wondering if Bitcoin had reached this point. I was hearing a lot of news about Bitcoin in the mainstream media, and lots of people talking about Bitcoin everywhere. And I thought, for these reasons, maybe this would be a good time to cash out my gains. I had, after all, been holding the position since 2014 and made very large profit from that initial investment. So I thought long and hard about it for a few months actually, and in the end decided to sell my position. I'm not saying Bitcoin is a bad investment. I actually think it's good to have some crypto, or especially Bitcoin, in the portfolio. But the amount, well, the profit that I had was actually had become such a large portion of my portfolio that I saw it as a risk to have my portfolio, to have such a huge part of my portfolio being Bitcoin. So I thought I'd sell it, and I'm thinking I might buy Bitcoin again, but not such a large position. I'd like to wait until the dust settles on this post-halving cycle and see how low Bitcoin will go this time around before I decide whether to buy some more or not, and we'll see. So I decided to exit the Bitcoin market and start my ICU nursing education. I'm 43 years old, and I didn't start investing until late in life. I didn't learn about inflation or the power of compounding or investing until later in life. Even though I love nursing, I think it's such a demanding field. It's demanding working shifts, and it's honestly taken its toll on my health, and I've had to prioritize my health. And for the last 2 years I've been able to do that. I've been able to say no to night shifts. I've been able to take the shifts that I want or that I can work, and I've been able to work and organize it to fit my schedule. And it's been a taste of a freedom that I'd like to keep and continue growing and continue benefiting from. So my journey continues to grow my wealth and to try and become financial independent enough to choose my working hours and continue with the job that I love without it draining me, basically. So that's my plan, and that's why I sold my Bitcoin, and I'm ready to continue growing my money and investments into other areas. And if you'd like to follow the journey, then I'd be happy to share it. If you have any more questions or any more comments, I'd be happy to hear from you. So click like if you like this, subscribe if you want to, and hopefully I'll see you again. Bye.